The first white perch is big enough to fillet, and that's my preferred method. Second white perch I'll show you is smaller, and it's not quite big enough to fillet, and we're going to clean him whole. To fillet this white perch, we're going to start by making a cut diagonally right behind his head. Just like that. This is the end of the meat. Up here there's no more meat. Right here is the end of the meat. You can tell, if you're not familiar with the fish, you can always run your finger down and you can feel it. And you can feel the meat stop right there, which is right where I made the incision on the opposite side. So we're going to come right up on the top, and we're going to follow this fin down, just barely going under the skin. We're going to follow that all the way down, right about there till you get even with the anal fin, which is right up here. Once you get even with the anal fin, you stick the knife all the way through, angle it down slightly with slight downward pressure, and go all the way to the end. Now you want to come up and separate this. Separate this meat here, and you're going to feel the rib cage right there. You want to get to that rib cage, nice light pressure, and then turn your knife going this way. And you want to ride that rib cage to the right. You just want to ride that rib cage. Pull the fillet up. You feel it riding right along the rib cage. And you're basically just going to go right along the rib cage and the meat. The rib cage starts right there and the meat stops right there. So you want to come right to that rib cage. Once you get, so you're up against the skin, you just stick your knife through and follow that all the way down. And there's one fillet. Turn it over and do the same thing. On an angle so you get all that head meat right to the backbone. And you're going to come in this time, since I'm a righty, I'm going to do it this side of the fish this way. I'm just going to go just underneath the skin and follow it all the way down along that fin, which is directly above the backbone. Once you get even with this, with the anal area, I like to stick my knife right in the cutting board and pull up until I get my knife through. And then I'll come along this side, since I'm a righty. I'll stick my knife in that hole I just created and do the rest of the fillet. Just like that. I'm going to come up, just ride that knife right down to the rib cage. You can hear it clacking along. Turn your knife towards you slightly, but don't get your fingers anywhere near it. Just come right along those ribs, and you'll feel those ribs just ride right along there. When you get down to it, the end of the meat, you can turn your knife, go that way, turn it, go that way, and there's your other fillet. You can almost see through that. Now to take the skin off of these, you're simply going to grab it with your fingers, get your knife started. It's going to give you a nice little place to hold on to. When you get there, turn your knife down, and you're going to put slight downward pressure and slight angling down pressure. So you're going to make sure that knife rides right along the skin, and you won't waste any meat by leaving it on the skin. Just follow that right down, and there's the fillet. You left no meat on that skin at all. Do the same with this one. Get started. Just keep downward pressure and angled pressure on the blade, and you won't leave any meat on the skin. There's your second fillet. I don't feel any pin bones there, so we're good. And there you have it. That's how you fillet a white perch that's big enough to fillet. Now we've got another white perch here that's not quite big enough to bother filleting, so we're going to cut him whole, and we're going to have basically the carcass of the fish. I get a smaller knife to start with. A little small fillet knife works really well for this. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to cut off the tail, cut off the head, cut off the fins, gut the fish, and then pull off the skin, and you're going to be left with one whole fish. So we're going to start by cutting this top fin off. That's the way I start. And you're going to be careful when you're cutting back towards yourself, but you're not going to put a lot of pressure on your knife. You don't want to be trying to really rip at it here and cut your hand. You've got to hold this thing in position. Now you can have one of those chain mesh type fillet gloves. That's probably a good idea. I don't wear one, but I probably should. I've never cut myself doing this, but eventually it might happen. So you're warned against it. Now we're going to come back here all the way to the same place. If we were to fillet this fish, we'd take all the head meat, like right there. So we're going to envision that same spot. You don't have to make the cut, but you're going to envision that same spot and come right back to that spot. And when you get to that spot, you're going to turn your knife down and go through, just through the backbone, the big heavy bone right there, and then you're going to stop. From there, I go and I cut off the tail. Get rid of that. Cut off this fin. Cut right behind the anal fin, down a little bit. Then you cut behind here. Stop when you get, there's a bone that runs in diagonally like this. You're going to cut, you'll feel it when you hit that bone. You're going to grab this and pull up, and you're going to have that bone right there. Get rid of that. While you're right here, you stick your knife in, separate the skin here and separate the skin on the top, so that when you pull off the skin on both sides, it'll come off easily. Now from here, come in behind these fins, up to the anus. Then you're going to grab it, and a lot of times it'll all come in one shot, but you're going to grab it and kind of pull down and get your finger in there, and you're going to pull. It's a male. Yeah, the male tend to be smaller. I didn't plan on keeping any white perch this small, but sometimes you hook one, he swallows it or what have you, and you can't turn him loose. You know he's going to die, so there's no sense in turning him loose like that. Now you just want to clean up in this area here with your finger. Get rid of all that. Now we're going to pull off the skin. This is pretty easy. Grab a hold of the fish good and solid with your left hand. Take the little fillet knife. Just get it started just underneath that skin, and you're going to squeeze between your thumb and that blade. You're going to squeeze quite hard. And you're not squeezing into the blade, you're squeezing up alongside the blade. You're basically wedging that skin in between your thumb and that blade. And you're going to pull, and then you're going to basically just peel this skin off like a banana. It usually comes off in one shot. We'll see if this one does. There it is. That's all the skin is off on that side. The same thing on this side here. Let's get it started. Pinch it. Pull it towards you. If you need to regrip it, it's fine. You can just go up ahead and regrip it again and pull, and you're done. That's it. That is how I clean white perch when they're small. A lot of lakes you go and catch white perch. This is as big as they get. So sometimes you end up bringing back 10 or 15 like this, and you can buzz through them really fast. I mean, that's really like 2 minutes a piece, if that. When I'm not filming, when I'm really trying to make time, you can buzz through these really quick. Just give it a good rinse, get it in your water, and grab the next one. Hope that was helpful.